The sun was still low when Alicia Grant parked by the service bay and stepped out. The air was cool and clean. The lot was quiet, like it was holding its breath before a busy day. She wore a plain gray hoodie, black jeans, and simple sneakers. Her hair was pulled back. No jewelry, no bright colors. She liked mornings like this. There was time to look at every car and think about the families who would drive them. She slid a small key fob from her pocket and started her walk. Headlights flashed when she pressed the buttons. Door locks clicked. She checked window seals with her fingers and ran her palm along the hoods, feeling the smooth paint. This was her place, and she knew every inch of it. She moved with quiet focus, counting the cars row by row. A new shipment had arrived late last night. The drivers had left the keys with security, and security had left the fob on her desk. It was a clean system. Still, Alicia checked everything herself. She bent to see if a tire looked soft. She stood, tall to check if a window sticker sat straight. She made notes in her head. The sun warmed the metal and made the glass glow a little. She smiled when a small bird landed on a mirror and tapped its beak at its own reflection. In a few hours, the lot would be full of people and chatter. For now, it was just her and the cars. A young man walked through the side gate with careful steps. His name was Jamal. He was the new intern, and it was his second week. He had ironed his shirt and shined his shoes. He carried a small notebook and a pen, and his face showed both hope and worry. Alicia waved him over. "Good morning," she said with a kind smile. "Let's practice our greeting again." Jamal stood a little taller. "Good morning. Welcome in," he said, and then he paused. "How can I help you today?" Alicia nodded. "That's good. Keep your voice warm. Look at their eyes. Wait for their answer. People want to feel respected. If you do that, they will tell you what they really need." Jamal wrote a few words down. He asked if he should put balloons on the SUVs or wait until later. Alicia said, "Wait, wind is picking up. We'll choose a safer spot." Ms. Rivera came from the main office, carrying a clipboard and a ring of keys. She had worked with Alicia for years and knew the rhythm of the place. "Morning, boss," she said, with a bright voice that made the lot feel more awake. "Morning," Alicia replied. "Let's open a little early. We have 2 test drives at 9. Ms. Rivera handed her the clipboard and pointed at the glass door. Alicia's name was etched on the office window. It was a steady sight. She touched the letters with a quick, proud tap. Then she looked down and realized she had left her wallet inside last night, in the top desk drawer by the plant. "I'll grab it in a minute," she said to herself. She kept moving. Doors clicked, domes, lights blinked, and the fob did its quiet work in her hand. Across the street, a man looked out from his second-floor window. He did not know the dealership well. He saw a person in a hoodie walking between cars. He saw lights flashing and doors unlocking. He watched the person point a small thing at different cars and then pull the handles. He did not see the office, door with the owner's name. He did not know about new shipments or morning checks. His mind went to worry. He picked up his phone and called the emergency number. He said there was a suspicious person on the lot. He said the person was trying doors. He gave a description. Gray hoodie, black jeans, short hair pulled back. He sounded sure, and then he hung up. Across the street, Alicia bent to pick up a plastic tag that had fallen and slipped it into her pocket to throw away later. She did not know a call had been made. A few minutes later, 2 officers pulled to the curb. Their lights were off, but their presence changed the air. Jamal saw them first and swallowed hard. Ms. Rivera saw them next and walked closer to Alicia. The officers stepped out and watched the lot. Their eyes went to the hoodie, the fob, the way Alicia moved from car to car. The taller officer called out, "Ma'am, can we speak with you?" Alicia turned and lifted a hand. "Of course," she said. Her voice was calm. She walked toward them with the fob in her palm, open, nothing hidden. "Good morning," she said. "I'm Alicia. How can I help you?" The second officer asked for her identification. "Right now," he added. Alicia nodded. "It's in my office, right there," she said, and she pointed to the door with her name. "I left my wallet in the desk. We just opened." The taller officer's eyes stayed on the fob. "What's that in your hand?" he asked. "Dealership keys," she said. "We received cars late last night. I'm checking them now." The second officer asked her to put the item down. She did. It clicked softly when it touched the top of a hatchback. "Where did you get those keys?" he asked. "From my office," Alicia answered. "Security left them on my desk." Ms. Rivera stepped up. "Officers, she's the owner," she said. She raised her clipboard a little, as if the paper could prove it in the air. Jamal nodded quickly. "Yes, boss is the owner," he said, and then he winced at his own fast words. The taller officer looked from face to face, but did not look at the office door. He asked Alicia for her full name. She told him. He asked what time she had arrived. She told him. He asked why she had chosen to wear a hoodie if she was at work. "It's cold," she said gently, still calm, still respectful. "We start early to be ready for customers." The officer asked her again to show identification. Alicia said again that it was in the office. "Please let me step inside with you," she said. "You can watch me get it. The drawer is right there." Ms. Rivera pointed to the name on the glass and said, "You can see it. It's her office." The second officer shook his head. "Stay here," he said. He radioed to confirm the call they had cleared. His words were short and slow. The taller officer held out his hand. "Any other keys? Any other devices?" Alicia opened her other hand to show nothing. She kept her voice even. "We have cameras too," she said. "They point at the doors. We can check them. This will be very simple." But her words did not land. A long-time customer, Mr. Daniels, drove in and parked near the front. He had planned to drink coffee with service staff while his oil was changed. He saw the officers and Alicia and frowned. He walked closer. "Morning," he said to everyone, soft but firm. "Ma'am is the owner here." He tapped the dealership logo on his cap. "She sold me 2 cars. The taller officer told him to stand back. Mr. Daniels stopped, raised his hands, and stepped to the side. He took out his phone and held it at his chest, not high, not low, just ready. Jamal looked at Alicia with wide eyes. She gave him a small nod, the same nod she gave when a test drive went well or a deal closed with a handshake. It meant, keep steady. Inside herself, Alicia felt a small flame of hurt. She could feel it press into her chest and throat. She measured her breath and chose her words. "Officers," she said, "I am the owner. My documents are in that office. My licenses are framed on the wall. My picture from ribbon cutting is there too. Please let me show you." The second officer looked past her at the rows of cars and asked how many vehicles were on the lot. She told him the number. He asked about the new shipment. She gave the bill of lading number from memory because she had signed it last night. Ms. Rivera started toward the office door to bring the framed license, but the taller officer held up a palm. "No one go inside," he said. The lot felt smaller, like the space around the glass door had become a wall. Jamal stepped a little closer and spoke, trying to use his calm voice from morning practice. "Sir," he said, "we can show you proof. Right there." The second officer told him to step back. Jamal stepped back. He did not argue. He looked down at his polished shoes and then back up at Alicia. She kept her shoulders straight. "You can call our main number," she said. "The phone rings right there on Ms. Rivera's desk. She will say my name. We can do this in a simple way." The taller officer radioed again. He spoke in short phrases. A minute passed, but it felt like 10. The sun was higher now, and a gentle wind moved the price tags that hung in the windows. A couple of early customers slowed their cars, looked, and then kept going. The quiet of the lot felt heavy, like a blanket that no one wanted. The second officer asked Alicia to turn around. She felt the words land on her like cold rain. Ms. Rivera took a step forward without thinking. "Please," she said, her voice cracking. "She is the owner. Please." Alicia held up a hand to Ms. Rivera and shook her head a little. "It's okay," she said, even though it did not feel okay. She turned. The officer spoke a standard sentence she had heard only on television. The metal cuffs were cool and then tight. They clicked twice. She kept her balance. She looked at the glass door with her name. She read the letters slowly, like the letters might speak for her. Jamal covered his mouth with his hand. Mr. Daniels lowered his phone and stared at the cuffs with wet eyes. Alicia kept her voice steady. "Ms. Rivera," she said, "call Linda. Use the number on my desk. Tell her exactly what is happening. Jamal, you stay with Ms. Rivera. Help her. Greet customers if they come. Be polite. We keep our word. The day will go on." Jamal nodded fast, too fast. "Yes," he said. "Yes." He wiped his face with his sleeve and took a deep breath. Mr. Daniels called out again to the officers, slower and softer, like a friend trying to be understood. "I'm telling you," he said, "you are making a mistake." The taller officer opened the back door of the patrol car. The second officer guided Alicia with careful hands. He was not rough, but the cuffs still. Pressed. The second patrol car turned into the lot with a slow roll of tires on gravel. Its engine hummed, and the morning felt tighter. The first two officers stepped a little farther apart, as if drawing a quiet line across the ground. Ms. Rivera stood near the glass door with Alicia's name on it. Her fingers pressed the edge of the frame. Jamal moved with unsure steps between the welcome desk and the service bay, looking for something useful to do. Mr. Daniels kept his phone at chest level, steady and calm, like a witness who understood that details mattered. Alicia sat in the back seat of the patrol car with her hands cuffed. The window was open a few inches. Cool air touched her face. She heard the catch of Ms. Rivera's breath and the low murmur of the officer's radio. She felt the cuffs where they touched bone and skin. She kept her back straight and her chin lifted. When the second car parked, she turned her head and spoke in a voice that was clear and even. "Officers, please call for a supervisor," she said. "I am the owner here. My identification is in my office. My licenses are framed on the wall. This can be solved on the spot." The taller officer nodded, but his eyes still swept the lot like he did not hear the meaning. "We got a call," he said. "We need to confirm." He used short words and a neutral tone. He looked at the key fob sitting on the hatchback where Alicia had set it down. He looked at the cars with doors that had flashed open and then closed. He looked at the hoodie and the early hour and the empty sidewalk. He did not look at the window with Alicia's name. Ms. Rivera lifted the clipboard and tried again. "Sir," she said, "please let me bring her wallet. It is right there on her desk. Her name is on the door. You can watch me." She pointed through the glass. A plant with thick green leaves sat beside the desk. A picture from the ribbon cutting hung above it. "It will take 10 seconds, she said, her voice thin from worry. The second officer raised a palm and shook his head. "No one goes inside," he said. "Stay back." Jamal took a step forward and then stopped himself. He remembered Alicia's morning lesson. Look at their eyes. Use a warm voice. He swallowed. "Officer," he said softly, "we have cameras pointing at the doors. We can show you the video. It will show her arriving with me. It will show her using her code to enter." The taller officer's expression did not change. He spoke to his partner, then to the radio, then back to the air. "We'll sort it out," he said, like a line made for any morning, for any call. An early customer pulled in, saw the lights, and pulled out again. Another parked far back, as if distance could make the scene smaller. Mr. Daniels cleared his throat. "Gentlemen," he said, "I've bought 2 cars from this woman. She runs this place. She takes care of people. Please listen to us." His voice was respectful. He did not raise it. He stood where he had been told to stand. His phone lens caught the window letters and the cuffs and the faces that held pain and patience at the same time. Alicia lifted her voice enough to carry through the crack in the window. "Are your body cameras on?" she asked. "Please make sure they are on." The second officer looked down at the small square on his chest and tapped a button. A tiny light changed color. The taller officer did the same. Alicia watched those lights. She marked the moment in her mind, like making a line in a ledger. She did not argue about the cameras being off before. She only asked now, with calm purpose. She turned her head toward Ms. Rivera. "Please call Linda," she said. "Her number is on the white card on my desk. Use your phone. Put it on speaker. Hold it to the window." Ms. Rivera ran inside only as far as the nearest phone on her own desk. She found Linda's number in her contacts and tapped it with careful fingers. She hurried back and held the phone up. The speaker pointed toward Alicia. A clear voice answered. "Linda Cho," it said. Ms. Rivera's relief sounded like a small sigh. "Linda," she said, "it's Ms. Rivera. We need help." Alicia leaned toward the open space of the window. "Linda, I am detained," she said, steady but quick, "at my dealership." 2 officers responded to a call. "They believe I do not belong here. My identification is in my office. They will not allow anyone to retrieve it. Please come with incorporation papers, the business license, the dealer license, any photos from the opening, and the bill of lading from last night's shipment. Ask the watch commander to meet us on scene. Also, please request the incident number." Linda's reply was swift, practical, and warm. "I'm on my way," she said. "Text me the incident number. Ask them for it now." Alicia looked to the taller officer. "What is the incident number, please?" He read it from his device, and Ms. Rivera repeated it into the phone. Linda said, "Got it." And the line clicked off. Jamal stood beside Ms. Rivera, his notebook pressed to his chest. "What do I do?" he asked. Alicia's eyes were gentle when they met his. "Greet everyone who comes," she said. "Offer water. If they ask questions, tell them we will be open soon. Be respectful. Use the words we practiced." Jamal nodded. He took a breath, straightened his back, and walked to the front like a young person who understood that small acts mattered. The second patrol car's officer walked the row of cars, glancing into windows. He ran his fingers along a door handle as if the truth might be hiding in the metal. He asked the taller officer something about the call. The answer came back in clipped radio language. Across the street, the man who had called peered from his window again. He watched the cuffs, the gathered staff, the small group of onlookers. He did not come out. A sedan pulled in slowly and parked. A woman with a baby carrier stepped out. She looked from the patrol cars to the office door to Ms. Rivera's face. "I had a service appointment," she said, apologetic, as if the scene were her fault. Ms. Rivera found her voice. "We will take good care of you," she said. "Please sit in the lounge. Jamal will bring you water." The woman nodded and went inside, casting one more worried glance toward Alicia. Alicia kept her focus. "Officers," she said, "please check the wall in my office. There is a frame with my business license. It has my name and photo. There is also a photo of me cutting the ribbon with the mayor. There are also purchase orders with my signature. You can see them through the glass." She paused, let the words settle. She tried again. "Please also note the lot CCTV. You can watch from the security screen. Ms. Rivera can show you." The taller officer looked at the glass, then at the ground. "We'll wait for a supervisor," he said. "We have to follow the process." Mr. Daniels stepped a little to the side, seeking a new angle. He kept filming. He spoke without heat. "I am documenting that she has asked for a supervisor," he said out loud, so the audio would hold it. "I am documenting that her staff says she is the owner and that her name is on the door." He breathed slow. He was not trying to make a scene. He was trying to make a record. A breeze lifted the corner of a sale banner. A tag flicked against a mirror with a small, nervous sound. The sky had turned brighter, and the metal on the hoods reflected it like still water. The lot, which usually felt like welcome and movement, now felt like waiting. Jamal walked across with 2 small bottles of water and handed one to Ms. Rivera. He held the other toward the taller officer. The officer hesitated, then took it with a short nod. "Thank you," he said. Jamal nodded back. "You're welcome, sir." From the open patrol car window, Alicia spoke again. "Officer, can you please loosen the cuffs just a little? They are very tight. I am not resisting. I will remain calm." The second officer bent and checked the double lock. He turned the metal a notch. "Thank you," Alicia said. Her voice carried only gratitude, not triumph. She breathed and felt the bite ease. She reminded herself that a day could change shape but not define her. The taller officer lifted his radio. "Transporting shortly," he said into it. The words hung in the air, simple and heavy. Ms. Rivera's shoulders dipped. Jamal's hand gripped his notebook until the spiral bent. Mr. Daniels closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them again and kept filming. "Please, sir," Ms. Rivera tried one more time, pointing through the glass to the frame on the wall. "Just look, please." The taller officer stared past her as if he had used up his words. The second car's officer opened the hatchback and picked up the key fob. He looked at it like a puzzle. "Where did you get this?" he asked Alicia again, as if the repeated question could make a new answer appear. "From my office," she said, patient and exact. "Security left it on my desk with the delivery note. We received vehicles last night. I am checking them." Her voice carried no edge. She offered facts the way a person offers a hand. A silver SUV turned into the lot and parked near the sign that said, "Customer Parking." The driver stepped out in a neat blazer and flats. She moved with the calm confidence of someone used to public meetings and press cameras, but her eyes widened when she saw Alicia in the back of the patrol car. She took in the name on the glass, the staff faces, the uniforms, the cuffs. "Alicia?" she said, warm and surprised. "It's Elena." She hurried forward. "I came to pick up my car from service." The taller officer held up a hand. "Ma'am, please stand back." The woman stopped, but her voice did not. "I will stand where you ask," she said, "but I need to understand what is happening." She looked at Ms. Rivera. "Is Alicia okay?" Ms. Rivera nodded once and swallowed. "She is calm," she said. "She has asked for a supervisor. We are trying to show proof." The woman's gaze returned to Alicia. The ride to the station felt both short and long. The patrol car moved through clean, quiet streets, while Alicia watched the city through the small window. She saw a bakery lift its metal gate and a bus kneel to let a passenger step down. She saw the kind of morning she loved: order, effort, routine, continuing outside the glass. Inside, the cuffs cooled her wrists again. She rested her eyes on her hands and breathed in, then out, counting each breath to keep her calm. She did not speak. She saved her words for the room where they would count. At the station, the taller officer guided her out of the car. His tone was neutral, like he was reading steps off a list. "Straight ahead," he said. She walked with her back straight. She thought of Ms. Rivera, of Jamal practicing greetings, of the woman with the baby carrier, of Mr. Daniels holding the phone, still and steady like a compass level with the ground. She thought of Elena saying her name like a fact that mattered. She walked into the front intake area and felt the cool air hit her face. The room had a long counter with plexiglass and a small speaker slot. A thin plant with long leaves sat tired in its plastic pot, like it had been there a long time. A clock ticked. A sergeant looked up from a computer screen. His eyes went from the officers to the cuffs, then back to the screen. "Name?" he asked. The taller officer said it, and the sergeant typed. Keys clacked. The sound filled the small space and made the moment feel official in a way that pressed on the chest. Alicia stood still, breathing even, and waited for her turn to speak. "Ma'am," the sergeant said, "do you have identification?" His voice was not sharp. It was tired and formal. "Yes," Alicia said, "in my office desk." She lifted her chin a little and nodded toward the glass door that was not here, but in her mind. "My name is on my office door. My business license is framed on the wall. There is CCTV at my dealership. My attorney is on the way with papers." The sergeant flicked his eyes toward the taller officer, then back to his screen. He typed more. "We'll see," he said. It sounded like something he had said many times. They guided her to a bench. An officer checked the cuffs and clicked, them one notch looser. She said thank you, the same way she would have said it if a customer had held a door for her. Her phone and keys had already been set in a small tray. She asked, in a clear voice, for the incident number again. The taller officer handed her a small slip with the digits written on it. "Thank you," she said again. She memorized the number like she memorized VINs and order codes. Her mind liked details. Details told stories that people could not deny. Minutes later, the station door opened and quick footsteps came in. Attorney Linda Cho, in a navy blazer and low-heeled shoes, moved with purpose. Her bag was heavy with paper. Her face held both kindness and steel. "Alicia," she said, and her voice softened on the name. She looked at the cuffs, then looked at the sergeant. "I'm counsel," she said. "We have documentation." She placed a neat stack on the counter, incorporation papers, business license copies, dealer license, a color print of Alicia at the ribbon cutting, a recent trade article about the dealership's charity day, a delivery note from last night's shipment with Alicia's signature. Each sheet had tabs. Each tab had a word. The sergeant adjusted his glasses. He looked at the stack, then at Alicia, then at the officers, and then he pulled the top sheet closer. His face changed slowly, like clouds moving away from a hill. He glanced at the photo of the ribbon cutting. There was Alicia, smiling, a wide red ribbon across the dealership doors, the mayor holding one side and Alicia holding the other. The mayor's smile looked real. The building looked the same. The etched name on the glass door matched. The sergeant looked up. "One moment," he said. He stood and walked through a side door. Linda sat beside Alicia. She spoke softly but clearly. "I asked for the watch commander," she said. "I also requested the incident report number, dispatch audio, and body camera footage." Alicia nodded. "Good," she said. "Please also note the time we asked for the cameras to be on. Mr. Daniels has a video that shows the moment." Linda made a small check mark on a legal pad. "Already noted," she said. "Are you okay?" Alicia lifted her wrists and rotated them a little. "I'm steady," she said. "We will make this matter count." The sergeant returned with another officer whose uniform had an extra bar. The new officer scanned the documents and then looked directly at Alicia with a more careful eye. "Ms. Grant," he said, and the use of her last name held a different weight. "It appears there has been a mistake." He signaled to the officer beside Alicia, who removed the cuffs with 2 quick clicks. The metal slid away. Alicia rubbed her wrists and then set her hands in her lap. She did not jump up. She did not let her words run too fast. She said, "Thank you." The officer cleared his throat. "We're very sorry for the inconvenience," he said. The word felt small in the room. Linda kept her expression steady. Alicia looked at the stack of papers on the counter, then at the small slip with the incident number, then at the officer's chest where a small camera sat dark. She asked, "Were your body cameras on during the initial contact at the dealership?" The officer paused, half a breath. "Not at the very beginning," he said. "They were activated later." Alicia let the answer settle and did not rush to fill the silence. "Please note that," she said to Linda, "time of activation compared to time of arrival." Linda wrote it down. "We would like to see the body camera footage and the dispatch audio," she said. "We'll make a formal request if needed." The officer nodded. "We can arrange that," he said. "We want to make this right." His voice tried to be gentle, but it also tried to move on. "Ms. Grant," he added, "if you're willing, we can resolve this with an apology now and a note in the file." He looked at her like he hoped she would say yes. Alicia kept her tone respectful, but not small. "I appreciate the apology," she said, "but this is not only about me. My staff told you who I am. My name is on the door. My licenses are on the wall. We asked for a supervisor at the scene. The cameras were not on at the start. I need to see the incident report. I need to see the dispatch call. I need to review the video. I would like a copy of your policy about body cameras and about how you respond to suspicious person calls at businesses." She paused and kept her voice gentle. "I am a business owner in this city. I serve families. I hire young people. I need to know this will not happen again to me or anyone on my team." The officer listened. His gaze dropped to the stack of papers again. He nodded slowly. "Understood," he said. The sergeant added, "We can print the incident report for you to review here and submit your notes. The rest will have to be requested through the process." Linda said, "We'll do that." She looked at Alicia. "Would you like to step outside for some air while I start the paperwork?" Alicia stood. "Yes," she said. "But first, may I have something in writing that confirms I am released, with no charges, no citation, and that my property will be returned?" The sergeant nodded and began to type again. Alicia followed Linda to a small bench outside the door, under a square of shade. The world looked different on that side of the glass. A delivery truck rolled past. A bike bell chimed as someone crossed the street. Alicia stared at her hands for a long second and then shook them out, as if letting water fall from her fingers. Linda watched with kind eyes. "You handled that with grace," she said. Alicia closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "I handled it with purpose," she answered. "I want change that lasts longer than a day." Her phone, returned to her, buzzed with messages. Ms. Rivera had sent a short update. "We are okay. We are ready. Customers are waiting. Jamal is doing great." Mr. Daniels had sent a note. "I have the video. I'm here when you need me." Elena had written, "I'm available if you want me at the dealership later. Proud of your calm." Alicia typed 3 simple replies. "Thank you. Please save the video. I will let you know soon." Inside, the sergeant called them back. He slid a printout toward Alicia. "Release confirmation, incident number, the word, no charges." He also set a thin packet of policy summaries on the counter. "This is public," he said. "Camera policy, call response guidelines. The complete manual is longer. You can request it." Linda tucked the packet into her folder. "We will," she said. She glanced at the clock. "We should return to the lot. There will be questions. We can be the ones to answer them." Alicia looked at the officer who had guided her in earlier. He looked back, not proud, not angry, just tired and human. She said, "I hope we can use this to teach, not only to blame. But teaching requires truth. So we will ask for the records." The officer nodded. I understand, he said. I'll make sure your requests move. His voice sounded like someone trying to stand a little straighter. They stepped into the sunlight. The day had fully opened now. The heat rose off the sidewalk in soft waves. Linda unlocked her car and held the passenger door. "We can drive back," she said. "I have the documents. We will organize our steps on the way." Alicia nodded and slid into the seat. As they pulled away from the station, she dialed Ms. Rivera. "We're coming," she said. "Please gather the staff in the lounge for 5 minutes when I arrive. Tell Jamal he is doing well. Offer water to anyone waiting. If someone asks, tell them we will explain everything shortly." Linda drove with the calm of a person good at many kinds of work. "What do you want to do first?" she asked. Alicia. The next morning, Alicia stood in her office and looked at the small stack of papers on her desk. They were simple sheets with clear titles: Body Camera Policy, Proposed Update, 911 Call Screening, Proposed Questions, Respectful, Engagement, Refresher Training Outline, and Keys in Hand, Scholarship and Job Training Fund. She touched each page with the flat of her palm, as if lending it her steady heartbeat. Outside the glass, the lot was already awake. Folding chairs formed neat rows. A small podium stood near the showroom door. A sign on a stand read, "We all belong here." Ms. Rivera adjusted a portable speaker. Jamal checked a long orange extension cord and tested a small mic with a soft check, check. Mr. Daniels arrived early with a box of coffee and a plate of bakery rolls. He set them on a table by the entrance and wrote "free" on a sticky note, then placed paper cups in a tidy line. "People listen better when their hands are warm," he said, smiling at Jamal. Jamal smiled back and exhaled. "Thank you, sir." He practiced his greeting one more time under his breath. Elena stepped onto the lot a few minutes later, wearing a simple blazer and flats. She shook Alicia's hand and said, "I'm here as a neighbor and a customer. If it helps to say I was there yesterday, I will." Linda stood near the podium with a small clipboard. "Media will be here at the hour," she said. "We sent a clear note, short statements, simple questions, and we'll share our proposals in writing." She glanced at Alicia, soft concern in her eyes. "How are you?" Alicia lifted her chin. "Clear," she said. "I will keep my words simple. I will not speak with heat. I will speak so that a young person can hear and understand." By 10, the chairs were half full. Neighbors came. Customers came. A teacher from the high school came with 2 students who were curious about business. A retired nurse and her sister stood near the back. A local reporter tested a camera on a small tripod. One of the radio stations parked a van near the curb, and a quiet hum of voices rose like the start of a song. Ms. Rivera gave Jamal a tiny thumbs up. He smiled and took a slow breath. Alicia walked to the podium right on time. She stood with the glass door and her name behind her. The mic picked up her voice and carried it across the rows without strain. "Good morning," she said. "My name is Alicia Grant. I own this dealership." She paused. The quiet settled. She spoke again, in the same calm way. "Yesterday morning, I was detained on my own lot after a call said there was a suspicious person here. I was wearing a hoodie. I was checking cars before opening. My staff told the officers I am the owner. My name is on the door. My license is on the wall. At the station, I was released with no charges." She looked at the faces, curious, concerned, kind, and continued. "Today is about more than one apology to one person. This is about how we treat people who are working, shopping, walking, or simply existing. I am a business owner. I also live here. I believe in simple steps that help everyone." She lifted the first paper. First step, cameras. I am asking that body cameras be on before contact. If an officer is about to approach someone, the camera should already be recording. It protects the public and it protects the officer. If the rule is clear, it is easier to follow. If it is not followed, there should be a clear consequence. She placed that page down and lifted the next. Second step, better 911 call screening. When someone calls to say, there is a suspicious person, call takers should ask more questions. Is the person inside or outside? Are they trying doors or standing still? Did you see a person use a key? Is the business open or closed? Do you see a name on a door? If the call is about a business, the call taker can try the posted phone number for the business before sending a patrol car. Sometimes a simple check saves everyone time and pain. She set the second page down and lifted the third. Third step, respectful engagement training with a simple rule: ask, listen, verify. If there is a calm person on a business lot with keys, ask who they are. Listen to staff when they say, "This is the owner." Verify by looking at the name on the door, at a license on the wall, or at CCTV. These are not hard steps. They are steady steps. She took a breath and smiled in a small human way. Finally, a step for us as a community, she said, holding up the sheet with a bright sticker on it. I'm launching Keys in Hand, a scholarship and job training fund. It will support local youth who want to learn sales, service, or small business skills. The first group will have 10 paid trainees for 6 months. They will learn customer care, finance basics, and hands-on service. They will receive a mentor. They will have a small scholarship at the end so they can continue their education or start a professional path. We will start applications next month. I will share the link and the paper forms here in the showroom. A quiet ripple of warm murmurs moved across the chairs. The teacher from the high school squeezed the hand of one of her students. Mr. Daniels nodded to himself and wiped one eye with a folded napkin. Alicia's voice stayed even. I will also invite the police chief to tour this dealership, she said. He can see our cameras, our morning routine, and our staff. He can meet the people who make this place work. We can talk about these proposals not to blame, but to make things better. She looked down at her notes, then back up. I have sent him a letter this morning with this invitation. She closed her remarks with the shape of a promise. We will keep serving you with care, she said. We will keep asking for clear policies and public data. We will do it with patience and firmness. Thank you for listening. She stepped back. Hands rose. The first question came from the local reporter. Ms. Grant, will you sue? Alicia kept her eyes steady. We will use the legal process to request records, she said. We will ask for accountability where it is due. My focus is on policies that prevent harm in the first place. That is where I will put my energy. Elena spoke next from her seat. As a council member and customer, I support these steps, she said. I will take them to the Public Safety Committee. We can set a hearing this month. Some heads turned, surprised and hopeful. Alicia gave Elena a small nod. It was the same nod she gave a customer when a fair deal was reached. Clear, respectful, steady. A man near the back lifted his hand. I run the hardware store down the street, he said. I've had calls like that on my lot too. If you make a list of the questions for 911, I'll post them in my window with a note that says, Call with care. Alicia smiled softly. Thank you, she said. We will share the list today. After the questions, people stood and stretched. They took coffee. They spoke to one another the way neighbors do when a hard thing has been named with care. Jamal handed out one-page summaries of the proposals. The pages were plain and clear, with bullet points and a small line at the bottom. We all belong here. Ms. Rivera moved through the rows, chatting with the service customers and setting new appointments with a calm hand. The lot began to sound like itself again, doors opening, pens clicking, quiet laughter returning. By noon, the first online stories appeared. The headlines were simple and fair. A few comments were not. Some people questioned the hoodie. Some said the officers were only doing their job. Linda read the comments with a lawyer's eye and then set her phone face down. We will stay with our plan, she said. We will answer questions in simple words. We will not get pulled into unkind threads. Alicia agreed. She wrote a short open letter for the dealership website. It said, "We believe in safety and fairness. We believe in clear rules that help everyone. We will share facts as we receive them. We welcome visitors who want to learn how our mornings work." That afternoon, an email arrived from the police chief's office. The chief, whose name was Morton, accepted the invitation to tour. He could come the next morning at 9. Alicia replied with thanks and added, "We will have coffee ready." She printed 2 small packets, one for the chief, one for herself. She chose a table near the showroom and set out 2 chairs, side by side, not across from each other. The next morning, Chief Morton walked in without cameras or a crowd. He shook Alicia's hand and nodded to Ms. Rivera and Jamal. He looked at the etched name on the glass and at the ribbon-cutting photo on the wall. "Thank you for inviting me," he said. "Let's see how the morning works." He followed Alicia onto the lot and watched as she checked cars with a key fob. He paused at the corner where the neighbor had made the call. He listened as Alicia pointed out the security cameras and the angles they covered. He asked Jamal about morning tasks. Jamal answered with quiet pride. Back at the table, Alicia slid the packet to him. "These are the proposals," she said. "Cameras on before contact, better call screening, respectful engagement with business staff using a simple ask, listen, verify rule. Also, an independent review of compliance with public updates." The chief read, page by page. He asked questions about the call screening steps. He nodded at the camera rule. "Clear rules are easier to follow," he said, "and easier to enforce." He looked up. "There will be pushback," he added, not unkindly. "Cost concerns, training time, the union's worries. People don't like change." Alicia held his gaze. "People like fairness," she said. "People like simple rules that protect them. These steps are not heavy. They are steady." The chief's mouth tightened and then eased. "I hear you," he said. "I will take this to my team and to the committee." He stood and extended his hand again. "Thank you." The day of the Public Safety Committee hearing came with bright sun and a light wind that tugged softly at the city flags. Alicia arrived early with Linda, Ms. Rivera, and Jamal. Mr. Daniels met them at the door with a thermos of coffee and a calm smile. Elena stood at the dais with a stack of papers and a steady voice. People from the neighborhood filled the room. Teachers, store owners, students, and a few quiet officers who came to listen. The hall smelled like paper and floor polish and a little like hope. Elena opened the meeting on time. She spoke clearly about why they were there. She said this was about simple steps that keep everyone safe and respected. Then she called on Alicia. Alicia walked to the microphone and set a single page in front of her. She did not read it. She looked at the room and told the story in plain words. She said what happened on her lot. She said what she asked for. She said why the steps mattered. Cameras on before contact, better 911 call screening, and a training rule she called ask, listen, verify. She did not point fingers. She pointed to a path. A union representative spoke next. He wore a neat shirt and carried notes. He said officers want safety too. He worried that a strict camera rule might lead to unfair punishment if someone forgot to press a button during a busy moment. He said training time pulled officers off the street. He said calls come fast and decisions come faster. He asked for balance. The room listened. Some nodded. Some folded their arms. Elena thanked him and wrote a small note. Chief Morton spoke after. He kept his eyes level and his voice even. He said, clear rules help everyone. He said he could support cameras on before contact if the city helped pay for better reminders and if the department could add a simple automatic trigger when patrol lights turned on. He said more questions at 911 could help send officers to the right place with the right information. He said he had already walked the lot with Alicia and seen how a few checks could change a morning. Then the people spoke. A hardware store owner told how he had been mistaken for a stranger on his own back lot and how a quick phone call would have fixed it. A teacher said her students wanted to feel safe on their walk to school and also to feel respected when they got their first job. The woman with the baby carrier said she had watched the scene at the dealership and had never seen someone stay so calm under pressure. She wanted rules that did not depend on a person having to be brave to be treated fairly. A high school student named Amina said she wanted to apply for keys in hand and learn how to greet a customer the way Jamal did. Jamal spoke last. His voice trembled for only a second. He said the words he had practiced every morning. "Welcome in. How can I help you today?" The room softened and smiled. He added, "Sometimes all it takes is to look, listen, and check." The committee asked questions. How much would the changes cost? How long would training take? What would happen if cameras were not on? Linda answered with numbers she had prepared. Elena kept the conversation moving. When the vote came, the room held its breath. The committee voted to send the proposal to the full council with a strong recommendation and a few notes. Add automatic camera activation when patrol lights came on, set a timeline for training, and appoint an independent reviewer to report to the public each month. 2 weeks later, the full council chamber was full. Alicia sat between Ms. Rivera and Linda. Chief Morton sat with his staff. The union rep sat near the aisle, watching. Elena read the proposal on the record. It sounded simple and firm. Cameras on before contact, with automatic activation tied to patrol lights. 911 call screening questions for suspicious person reports at businesses and public places. A training rule to ask, listen, and verify. With the people on scene, clear consequences for not following the camera rule, and the appointment of an independent reviewer who would post a monthly dashboard so everyone could see compliance, complaints, and improvements. One council member tried to stretch the timeline. Another tried to make the camera rule a suggestion instead of a must. Elena stayed calm and kept the language clear. Alicia did not speak this time. She had already said what needed to be said. The vote came just before noon. It passed. The room let out a breath like a quiet cheer. People shook hands. The union rep looked thoughtful. The chief nodded once and started texting his team. Alicia closed her eyes for 1 second and whispered, "Thank you." To no one, and to everyone. The work began the next day. The department sent out a training schedule. Officers came in small groups to learn the new steps. The camera vendor installed a simple pre-activation reminder that beeped gently if a car door opened at a call location and the camera was not yet on. Dispatchers practiced the new questions until they flowed like second nature. A simple script sat on every call taker's desk. Do you see a name on the door? Are there keys? Can you call the posted business number? What exactly makes the person suspicious? The city printed small posters that said, "Call with care. Your details. Help your community." Alicia kept a stack at her front desk and handed them to other business owners who came by to say hello. The independent reviewer set up a clean website. It had easy charts and simple words. It showed how many calls had been screened with the new questions, how many body cameras were on before contact, and what happened when they were not. It showed complaints and praise. It did not point fingers, it showed facts. The first month was not perfect. Some officers forgot to turn on cameras even with the new reminder. Some calls still came in with vague words, but each month, the charts moved in the right direction. The reviewer wrote short notes like, "Cameras on before contact rose from 72% to 89%, and screened calls with extra detail cut false alarms by a third." People could see the changes, not just feel them. On the dealership lot, keys in hand launched with 10 trainees and a lot of heart. They came from different streets and different stories. Malik, who liked engines, Priya, who liked numbers, Thomas, who liked people, Amina, who had spoken at the hearing, and 6 others who brought bright eyes and careful hands. They wore simple name tags and stood a little awkward at first, like anyone on a first day. Alicia gave them a tour. She showed them where the keys lived, where the coffee was, and where the light switched on early mornings. She told them the rule of the place: respect first, last, and always. Ms. Rivera taught them how to set a test drive. Jamal taught them the greeting he had practiced until it became natural. A bank officer came to teach a class on credit and saving with clear examples and no hard words. A trainer from the college came to show how to write a simple budget. The tire supplier sent over 10 sets of practice tires, and the service team taught tread depth with a coin. The car care day landed on a bright Saturday. The lot looked like a fair for learning. Stations stood under small canopies. Check your tire tread, oil and coolant basics, know your dash lights, your rights and responsibilities, simple steps. A grill sizzled with simple food. Music played at a gentle volume. Officers came in plain uniforms, not to patrol but to help. They stood beside youth at the stations, holding clipboards and handing out coins for the tire test. The chief stopped by to thank the volunteers and did a quiet loop, shaking hands. Near noon, one of the officers from the morning on the lot, tall, careful, the one who had spoken in short lines, walked up to where Alicia was refilling water cups. He did not wear sunglasses. He looked her in the eye. He spoke in a voice that reached only to her and not beyond. He said, "Ms. Grant, I am sorry for my part in that morning. I did not listen the way I should have. I have thought about it every day. I am learning from it." He did not add a but. He did not spread the blame. He waited. Alicia held his gaze. She felt the weight and the worth of the moment. "Thank you," she said, simple and clear. "I accept your apology." She kept her voice kind and firm. "We now have rules that help us all. I hope you will help make sure they are followed." He nodded, serious. "I will." He looked at the youth station and smiled for the first time. "That tread test is a good idea," he said. "It's simple, and it works." Alicia smiled, too. "Those are my favorite kind of ideas," she said. He moved on to help at the station, and the day kept its gentle rhythm. Toward the end of the car care day, the independent reviewer stopped by with a small team. They set up a laptop at a corner table and showed the first version of the public dashboard. People gathered around. The charts moved when you clicked them. The words were easy to read. "It's not perfect," the reviewer said, "but it is honest, and we will keep improving it." Alicia nodded. "That is all I ask," she said. "Honest steps, taken together." Months passed. The keys in hand trainees grew more sure. They learned how to listen better than a script. They learned to speak in a way that made people feel seen. They rotated through service and sales and the front desk. They attended 2 evening classes on small business basics. They did a group project to plan a community test drive route that avoided school drop-off traffic and showed a nice view of the river at sunset. Their final week brought quiet pride to the lot. Families came to see them receive certificates. The bank officer handed out small scholarship envelopes. Jamal said a few words that made everyone smile. Ms. Rivera cried a little and laughed at herself for crying. Alicia stood behind the group with her hand over her heart. The city saw the change too.